My son hadn't picked up his phone in weeks, and a sinking feeling told me something was terribly wrong. I drove to his house, unannounced, my heart pounding with every mile. When I stepped inside, the air felt heavy, and then I saw it, something stirring under my grandson's bed. My blood ran cold. When the police finally lifted that mattress, what we uncovered left everyone in the room paralyzed with shock. You won't believe what happened next, and trust me, you'll want to stick around for this one. If you're watching this video, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below to tell me where you're tuning in from, because this story of betrayal and revenge is one you'll never forget. In the fading light of a September evening, the small traditional home nestled on the edge of a quiet village seemed like a relic from another time. Its wooden beams, weathered by decades of rain and sun, creaked softly under the weight of memories. The air inside was thick with the scent of chamomile tea brewing on the old stove, mingling with the faint aroma of lavender from the dried bundles hanging by the window. Grandmother Elena sat in her worn rocking chair, its cushions molded to her frail form after years of use. Her hands, wrinkled like the bark of an ancient oak, rested gently on the armrests, fingers tracing invisible patterns born from habit. Beside her, on a low stool pulled close, sat little Mia, her 7-year-old granddaughter. Mia's eyes, wide and innocent like pools of untouched water, gazed up at Elena with a mixture of curiosity and adoration. Her small hand clutched a faded quilt that Elena had sewn long ago, its patches telling stories of their own, scraps from old dresses, shirts, and baby blankets. The dim evening light filtered through the lace curtains, casting a golden hue over the room, softening the edges of everything it touched. Outside, the wind whispered through the apple trees, carrying the distant call of a nightingale. Elena took a slow sip from her teacup, her soft but tired eyes reflecting the flickering flame of the oil lamp on the table. Her voice, when she spoke, was a gentle melody laced with the gravel of age, carrying both the pain of a life fully lived and the wisdom earned through its trials. "Come closer, my little one," she said, patting Mia's knee. "The nights grow shorter, and there are stories that must be told before the stars claim them." Mia scooted her stool nearer, her tiny fingers intertwining with Elena's. "Tell me about when you were young, Nana. Like me." Elena smiled, a faint curve that deepened the lines around her mouth. "Ah, child, where to begin? Life is like this quilt, pieces stitched together, some bright, some torn, but every thread holds a lesson." She paused, her gaze drifting to the window as if seeing through the glass into the past. And so the flashbacks began, unspooling like a film reel in her mind, vivid and cinematic, pulling her and Mia into the depths of history. It was the spring of 1948, in the same village, though the world felt vast and unforgiving then. Young Elena, barely 16, stood in the fields under a relentless sun, her hands blistered from pulling weeds in the potato patch. Her dress, a simple cotton shift handed down from her mother, clung to her sweat-dampened skin. The war had ended only 3 years prior, but its shadows lingered. Empty tables, missing fathers, and a hunger that gnawed at the soul. Elena's father had been taken by the front lines, leaving her mother to raise 4 children alone. "Work harder, Lena," her mother would say, her voice stern but breaking at the edges. "The earth doesn't pity the weak." In the flashback, the camera of memory panned across the golden fields, the horizon blurred by heat waves. Elena wiped her brow, her eyes then bright and fierce, scanning the distance where the river curved like a silver snake. That was where she first met Thomas, the boy who would become her everything and her undoing. He was fishing, his silhouette strong against the water, a basket slung over his shoulder. Their eyes met across the expanse, and in that moment, Love bloomed like the wildflowers at her feet, unexpected, resilient. Back in the present, Elena's voice trembled slightly. I was your age when the hardships began, Mia. But even in darkness, there's a spark. That's what love is, a light in the storm. Mia tilted her head, her braids swinging. Did you have a storm, Nana? Oh, many, Elena replied, squeezing the child's hand. Let me tell you about the first one. The scene shifted again to a winter night in 1952. Elena, now 20, huddled by a meager fire in the same home, though it was barer then, with frost etching patterns on the windows. Thomas knelt before her, his calloused hands holding a simple ring fashioned from twisted wire. Marry me, Lena, he whispered, his breath visible in the cold air. We'll build a life from the ashes. The camera lingered on their faces, illuminated by the flames. The hope in his eyes, the tear tracing down her cheek. They wed in a small church, the village turning out with what little they had. Bread, cheese, and songs that echoed into the night. But joy was fleeting. Their first child, a boy named Victor, arrived amid a blizzard, his cries piercing the howling wind. Elena held him close, her body exhausted from labor. Thomas pacing the room like a caged animal, worry etching his young face. He's strong, like you, Thomas said, but fate tested that strength early. Victor fell ill with fever, the village doctor miles away, snow blocking the paths. Elena rocked him through the nights, her songs a desperate plea to the heavens. He survived, but the scar of fear remained. Mia's eyes widened. Was that Papa? Victor is Papa, right? Elena nodded, her tired eyes misting. Yes, my sweet. Your father was my first miracle and my greatest trial. The story wove onward, Elena's voice rising and falling like the tides of memory. She spoke of the lean years when droughts withered the crops and they survived on foraged berries and thin soups. Flashback. Elena in the marketplace, bartering her mother's silver brooch for a sack of flour, her heart breaking with each word. Thomas worked the mines, his body blackened by coal dust, coming home with lungs that rattled like dry leaves. For you and the children, he'd say, kissing her forehead. Children came, 3 more after Victor. Anna, who danced like the wind, little Petro with his mischievous grin, and baby Sophia, whose laughter filled the home like sunlight. But loss shadowed them. Petro, at 5, wandered too close to the river during a flood. The camera captured the horror. Elena's scream as the waters claimed him, Thomas diving in vain, emerging with empty arms. They buried him under the apple tree, a small stone marking his place. Elena's grief was a silent storm. She wept, alone at night, her hands clutching the quilt that now draped Mia's lap. Why did the river take him, Nana? Mia asked, her voice small, fingers tightening on Elena's. Elena stroked the child's hair. Sometimes life takes without reason, my love. But we must hold on to what remains. That's survival, not just breathing, but loving despite the pain. The evening deepened, the light turning from gold to indigo. Elena paused to pour more tea, her wrinkled hands steady despite the tremor of age. Mia sipped hers, the warmth seeping into her small frame, mirroring the bond between them. Now, about your father, Elena continued, her voice dropping to a whisper, as if the walls might eavesdrop. Victor grew into a fine man, strong like Thomas, but with a restless spirit. He married young, like we did, to a girl from the next village. Your mother, with her kind heart and bright smile. They built a home not far from here, and then came you, Mia, my little light. But the tone shifted, pain edging her words. There was a time, though, when darkness nearly swallowed us all. It was 10 years ago, when Victor disappeared for 2 weeks. Mia's eyes grew even wider. Disappeared? Like magic? Not magic, child. Something far more human and heartbreaking. Elena's eyes clouded, pulling her into another flashback. It was a crisp autumn in 2015. Victor, then 35, had been struggling. The mines had closed, jobs scarce, and whispers of debt followed him like shadows. He argued with his wife more often, his temper flaring like dry tinder. One evening, he stormed out after a fight, the door slamming like a gunshot. Days passed. No word. Elena, worried, called daily, but his phone went to voicemail, a mechanical voice mocking her concern. 2 weeks later, driven by a mother's instinct, Elena trudged to his house, her steps heavy on the gravel path. The home was silent, curtains drawn, a layer of dust on the porch. She knocked. No answer. Using the spare key, she entered, the air stale and heavy. "Victor?" she called, her voice echoing. The living room was disarrayed, papers scattered, a half-eaten meal molding on the table. Then a sound, a rustle from the bedroom. Heart pounding, Elena approached, the floorboards creaking under her weight. The bed was unmade, sheets tangled. Something moved beneath it, a shadow shifting. She knelt, her knees protesting, and peered under. Eyes stared back, not Victor's, but a stray dog's, thin and trembling, its fur matted. It whimpered, tail thumping weakly. Elena coaxed it out, her hands gentle. Tied to its collar was a note in Victor's scrawl. "Mama, I'm lost. Need time. Take care of her. She found me when I couldn't find myself." Tears streamed down Elena's face as she held the dog, realization dawning. Victor had been battling demons, depression, the weight of failure. He'd wandered the woods, sleeping rough, the dog his only companion. She waited there, feeding the dog, cleaning the house. Hours later, Victor returned, gaunt and broken, collapsing into her arms. "I couldn't face it, Mama." The shame. In the flashback's cinematic sweep, the scene dissolved into embraces, words of forgiveness, and the slow mending of wounds. Victor sought help, found work in the city, and rebuilt. Back in the present, Elena wiped a tear. "He came back, Mia. Because love calls us home. But those 2 weeks, they taught me hope isn't blind. It's holding on when everything says let go." Mia hugged her grandmother, burying her face in the soft fabric of Elena's shawl. "I'm glad he came back, Nana. For you and me." Elena nodded, her voice regaining strength. "And that's not the end. Life kept testing us." She delved deeper, recounting the loss of Thomas to lung disease from the mines, his final breath in her arms, whispering, "I loved you first." Flashback. The funeral, rain mingling with tears, villagers in black, Elena standing tall for her children, Anna's marriage and move abroad, letters dwindling to calls, then silence, loss in absence, Sophia's battle with illness, Elena nursing her through chemotherapy, holding her hand as hair fell like autumn leaves. Yet, woven through the tragedies were sacrifices. Elena selling her wedding ring to pay for Victor's schooling, working nights as a seamstress to feed the family. Lessons emerged, resilience in mending broken things like the quilt, love in small acts like brewing tea for a weary soul. Mia interrupted gently. "Did it hurt a lot, Nana? All the sad parts?" Elena's eyes, soft and wise, met hers. "Yes, but pain carves space for joy. Look at you, my hope made flesh." The story unfolded further, Elena painting pictures with words. Her childhood games by the river, before war stole innocence, secret dances with Thomas under starlit skies, Victor's first steps, Petro's laughter echoing, Sophia's recovery, a miracle of modern medicine, Anna's surprise visit last year bridging the distance. As the night deepened, the room grew cozier, the lamp's glow a beacon. Elena spoke of survival, not just enduring, but thriving in small ways, planting gardens that bloomed against odds, teaching children songs of old, finding solace in faith and family. Finally, as Mia's eyelids drooped, Elena concluded, Remember, my child, life is a tapestry of love and loss. Weave your threads with care and always hold hope close. Mia yawned, nestling closer. I love you, Nana, and I you forever. The camera of imagination pulled back. The home a warm island in the dark, their bond unbreakable, a testament to endurance. Elena leaned back in her rocking chair, the wood groaning softly like an old friend sharing her burdens. The oil lamp flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls adorned with faded photographs, yellowed images of family gatherings, weddings, and children at play. Mia's head rested against her grandmother's knee now, the child's breathing steady but her eyes still alert, soaking in every word like parched earth after rain. Outside, the night had fully claimed the sky, stars peeking through the branches of the apple tree where Petro lay eternally. My stories aren't just tales, Mia, Elena murmured, her voice a soothing rumble. They're the bones of our family. Let me tell you more about your grandfather, Thomas. He was the anchor in my sea of storms. The flashback pulled her in again, sharp and vivid, like stepping into a dream. It was 1955, the village buzzing with the harvest festival. Elena, 23, and radiant in a floral dress she'd sewn herself, laughed as Thomas spun her on the makeshift dance floor under strings of lanterns. The air smelled of fresh bread and cider, music from accordions and fiddles filling the square. Thomas's hands, rough from labor, held her waist gently, his eyes, deep brown like fertile soil, locked on hers. You're my world, Lena, he whispered amid the whirl. Children darted between couples, including young Victor, toddling after them with chubby fists waving. But the joy was laced with undercurrents of hardship. That winter, a fire ravaged the barn, claiming their livestock. Elena remembered the flames licking the night sky, orange and furious, the heat searing her face as she and Thomas fought with buckets from the well. Villagers came, a chain of hands passing water, but it was too late. They lost everything, the cows for milk, the chickens for eggs. Thomas held her as she sobbed, the acrid smoke clinging to their clothes. We'll rebuild, he vowed, his voice steady despite the tremble in his arms. And they did, brick by brick, with help from neighbors. Elena took in sewing work, her fingers pricked bloody by needles under candlelight, while Thomas hunted in the woods, bringing back rabbits and roots. Mia's voice broke the reverie. Did you cry a lot, Nana? When things burned? Elena nodded, her wrinkled hands smoothing the quilt. Tears are part of it, child. They water the seeds of strength. But Thomas, he taught me to laugh through them. She continued, weaving in the birth of Anna in 1957. The labor was long, the midwife's face etched with worry as complications arose. Elena gripped the bed frame, sweat beading on her brow, Thomas pacing outside the door, his prayers muttered like incantations. When Anna's cry finally pierced the air, it was a victory hymn. The camera of memory zoomed in on the tiny bundle, pink and squirming, Elena's exhausted smile illuminating the dim room. She's perfect, Tomas said, tears in his eyes as he kissed Elena's forehead. Years blurred in Elena's telling, but each held its weight. By 1960, with 3 children underfoot, money was scarcer than ever. Thomas took a second job at the mill, his body aching from dawn to dusk. Elena managed the home, baking bread from scant flour, mending clothes until they were more patch than original fabric. One evening, as snow blanketed the village, Victor, now 8, fell through the ice on the frozen pond. Elena's heart stopped when Anna came running, screaming. She raced out, the cold biting her skin, and plunged her arms into the frigid water, pulling him free. Blue-lipped and shivering, he survived, but the fear lingered, a ghost in her dreams. Loss isn't always death, Elena said softly to Mia. Sometimes it's the almost loss that breaks you most. The child reached up, tracing the lines on Elena's face. You're brave, Nana. Like in stories. Elena chuckled, a warm sound. Bravery is just fear with a purpose. Now about Petro, my little mischief maker. The flashback shifted to brighter days, 1962. Petro arrived kicking and screaming, his energy a whirlwind from the start. At 3, he climbed trees like a monkey, bringing home pockets full of stones and feathers. Elena chased him through the orchards, her laughter mingling with scolds. "You'll be the death of me, boy," she'd say, but her eyes sparkled. Thomas built him a swing from old rope, and the family picnicked under it, sharing stories and songs. Petro's grin was infectious, his questions endless. "Why do birds fly, Mama? Can I touch the clouds?" But the river incident loomed, a dark pivot. It was a rainy spring in 1967. The waters swelled, muddy and roaring. Elena was inside, kneading dough, when Anna burst in. "Petro's by the river." Panic surged. Elena dropped everything, running through the downpour, skirts heavy with mud. She arrived too late. The current had him. Thomas dove in, waves crashing over him, but Petro was gone. The search lasted days, villagers combing the banks, Elena's voice raw from calling his name. They found his body downstream, small and still. The funeral was a blur of rain and sobs, Elena clutching Thomas as the earth claimed her son. In the present, tears traced Elena's cheeks. Mia wiped them gently with her sleeve. "Don't cry, Nana. He's in heaven, right?" "Yes, with angels," Elena whispered, composing herself. "But the pain, it reshaped me. I learned to cherish every moment like this one with you." She pressed on, recounting Sophia's birth in 1969, a balm after loss. Sophia was quiet, observant, with eyes like Thomas's. The family healed slowly, Victor stepping up as the big brother, Anna helping with chores. The 1970s brought change. The village modernized, electricity flickering to life in their home. Thomas got a better job at the factory. Elena opened a small sewing shop from their porch. They saved for the children's education, dreaming of brighter futures. Yet, tragedy struck again in 1980. Thomas coughed blood one morning, the mine dust finally catching up. Doctors shook their heads. Silicosis, untreatable. Elena nursed him for months, brewing herbal teas, reading to him from old books. Flashback. Thomas in bed, pale and thin, holding her hand. "Promise you'll live fully, Lena. For us." His death was peaceful, surrounded by family, but Elena's world shattered. She wailed alone that night, the quilt absorbing her grief. Widowhood tested her resilience. At 48, she raised the children alone, working tirelessly. Victor apprenticed as a mechanic. Anna studied nursing. Sophia excelled in school. Elena's sacrifices mounted, skipping meals so they ate, selling heirlooms for books. "Mama, you don't have to," Victor protested once. "I do," she replied, "because love demands it." Mia's eyes were heavy now, but she fought sleep. What about Aunt Anna? Why did she go away? Elena sighed. Ambition and heartache. In 1985, Anna fell in love with a man from the city. They married quickly, but he was unkind, drank too much, raised his voice. She left him, but shame drove her abroad, to America chasing dreams. Letters came at first, full of wonders, skyscrapers, oceans, then fewer, calls on holidays. I miss her, but I understand. Loss comes in distances too.
The story turned to Victor's life. In 1990, he met Maria Mia's mother at a fair. Flashback. Young and in love, dancing under fireworks, Elena watching with approval. Their wedding was joyous, the village feasting. Mia arrived in 2018, a bundle of joy amid Victor's struggles with unemployment after the factory closed. Now, Elena circled back to the title's core, the disappearance. It was 2015, as I said. Victor was drowning in worries, bills piling, arguments with Maria. He vanished one night, no note, no call. I paced this floor, praying. After 2 weeks, I went to his house, expanding the scene cinematically. The path to Victor's home wound through misty fields, Elena's shawl wrapped tight against the chill. The house loomed, windows dark like empty eyes. Inside, dust motes danced in slanted light, the silence oppressive. The rustle under the bed sent her heart racing, a feral dog, eyes fearful yet trusting. The note, "Mama, forgive me. I'm broken. This pup kept me company in the woods. I'll return when I can face the light." Elena waited, hours turning to evening. Victor stumbled in at dusk, disheveled, eyes haunted. "I thought of ending it," he confessed, collapsing. "But your voice in my head." "Hold on." They talked through the night, tears and truths mending fractures. He sought counseling, found work driving trucks, rebuilt his marriage. "That dog, Luna, became part of the family," Elena said. "A reminder that even in darkness, companions find us." Mia's breathing slowed, sleep claiming her. Elena rocked gently, her voice trailing into whispers of more memories: Sophia's cancer battle in 2005, the chemotherapy vigils, remission's sweet victory, family reunions, laughter echoing, lessons of hope amid ruins. As dawn hinted at the horizon, Elena finished. "Life's a river," Mia twists, floods, calm pools. "Navigate with love, and you'll find shore." The home held them in warmth, the bond eternal. The oil lamp had burned low, its flame a mere whisper now, casting a soft halo around Elena and Mia. The room was steeped in the quiet of late night, the only sounds the faint creak of the rocking chair and the distant hoot of an owl beyond the window. Mia, curled against her grandmother, clutched the quilt tighter, her small body warm and heavy with approaching sleep. Yet her eyes flickered open, fighting to hear more, as if the stories were a lifeline to a world she could only imagine. Elena's voice, though weary, carried a steady rhythm, like a river flowing over stones worn smooth by time. Her wrinkled hands, still tracing the quilt's patches, paused as she gazed at Mia, her tired eyes softening with love. "You're still awake, my little star?" she asked, brushing a stray braid from the child's face. "Tell me about Aunt Sophia," Mia murmured, her voice a sleepy hum. "You said she was sick, but she got better, right?" Elena nodded, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Yes, Sophia's story is one of miracles and stubborn hope. Let me take you there." The memory unfolded like a film, pulling Elena back to 2005. The village had changed by then. Paved roads replaced dirt paths, and satellite dishes sprouted on rooftops, but the heart of the place remained the same. Sophia, now 36, was a teacher at the local school, her quiet demeanor hiding a fierce intellect. Her classroom was a haven of books and drawings, her voice gentle as she taught children to read. But that spring, a shadow fell. Sophia grew pale, her energy fading like a candle burned at both ends. Elena noticed first the way Sophia's hands trembled, the dark circles under her eyes. Flashback. The hospital and the city, a sterile maze of white walls and beeping machines. Sophia sat on the exam table, her thin frame swallowed by a hospital gown. The doctor's words hit like a hammer: "Leukemia." Elena gripped Sophia's hand, her own heart racing as the world tilted. "We'll fight this," Elena said, her voice fierce despite the tears. Tomas's absence ached, then she needed his strength, but she drew on her own, forged in years of loss. The treatment was grueling. Chemotherapy sessions stretched over months, Sophia's hair falling in clumps, her laughter replaced by silence. Elena stayed by her side, knitting scarves to cover Sophia's bare scalp, brewing teas to ease nausea. Flashback. A hospital room at dawn, Sophia sleeping, her face gaunt but peaceful. Elena sat vigil, her fingers working the knitting needles, each stitch a prayer. Victor visited when he could, bringing Mia, then a toddler, whose giggles brought fleeting smiles to Sophia's lips. Anna, still abroad, sent letters filled with encouragement, though the distance stung. "There were days," Elena told Mia, "when I thought we'd lose her. But Sophia was like the river after a storm, calm but unyielding. And you, little one," were her light. Mia's eyes widened. Me? But I was just a baby. Elena chuckled, her voice warm. Even babies shine, child. Your visits gave her reason to fight. The flashback deepened, showing Sophia's slow recovery. By 2006, remission came a word sweeter than any song. The family celebrated quietly, a picnic under the apple tree, Luna the dog bounding between them. Sophia, weak but smiling, held Mia on her lap, whispering stories of her own. Elena watched, her heart swelling, though fear lingered like a shadow. It's not over, Sophia admitted one night, her voice low. But I'm here now, Mama. That's enough. Elena's voice trembled as she spoke to Mia. Sophia taught me that hope isn't just wishing, it's fighting for every sunrise. The story shifted, weaving through the years. By 2010, Sophia returned to teaching, her classroom brighter than ever. Victor's life stabilized, his trucking job steady, Maria's bakery thriving in the village. Mia grew, her curiosity blooming like the wildflowers Elena once picked with Tomas. But Anna's absence gnawed at Elena. Flashback. A rare call from Anna in 2012. Her voice crackling over the line from New York. I'm trying, Mama, she said, tearful. It's hard to come back. Elena listened, her heart aching, but sent love through words. Knowing some wounds heal slowly, let me tell you about Anna's return, Elena said, her eyes brightening. It was a surprise, like spring after a long winter. In 2024, a year before this night, a car pulled up to the house unannounced. Elena, tending her garden, froze as Anna stepped out older, her hair streaked with gray, but her smile unmistakably her own. Flashback. The embrace, fierce and tearful, under the apple tree. I'm home, Mama, Anna whispered, her suitcase heavy with years abroad. She'd built a life nursing, a small apartment, but loneliness had called her back. The village welcomed her, neighbors bringing bread and wine, Mia clinging to her aunt's hand, wide-eyed at this stranger who was family, and stayed a month, mending bonds. She and Elena cooked together, their hands moving in sync as they kneaded dough, laughter filling the kitchen. Victor joined, his gruff voice softening as he teased Anna about her city ways. Sophia, now healthy, organized a village dance, and Anna spun Mia under the same lanterns Elena once danced beneath with Tomas. The camera of memory lingered on the scene, lanterns swaying, music swelling, the family whole again. If only for a moment. Why does she leave again, Nana? Mia asked, her voice tinged with sadness. Elena sighed. Her life is there now, in the city across the sea. But she carries us with her, and she'll return. Love is like that, it stretches but never breaks. The night grew deeper, the lamp's flame nearly spent. Elena's stories wove on, threading through smaller moments, teaching Mia to sew, the stitches uneven but proud. Planting tomatoes in the garden, dirt under their nails, singing lullabies under the stars. Each memory was a brushstroke in the tapestry of their lives, painted with love, loss, and resilience. Elena circled back to Victor's disappearance, adding layers to the tale. Flashback. Those 2 weeks in 2015 were a blur of fear and action. Elena organized searches, neighbors scouring the woods, while Maria cared for baby Mia, her eyes red from crying. Elena's dreams were haunted, Petro's face blending with Victor's, the river threatening to claim another. Finding the dog, Luna, under the bed was a turning point, the note a lifeline. When Victor returned, Elena held him through his confessions, shame, despair, the weight of providing. You're enough, she told him, her voice steady. Therapy followed, a slow climb back to light. Luna still sleeps on my porch sometimes, Elena said, smiling. She reminds me we're never truly alone. Mia yawned, her head heavy on Elena's lap. Nana, will you always be here to tell me stories? Elena's heart caught, but she smiled. As long as the stars shine, I'll be with you, in stories or in spirit. The final threads of the story wove through recent years, Sophia's marriage to a kind carpenter, their home filled with laughter. Victor's pride in Mia's first school play. Maria's bakery winning a local award. Elena spoke of her own aging, the aches in her bones, but also the joy of small things: a sunrise, Mia's giggle, the scent of chamomile tea. Life's beauty is in its pieces, she said, her voice a whisper now. The broken ones make the whole. As Mia drifted to sleep, Elena rocked gently, the quilt enveloping them both. The room held a sacred silence, the weight of a life shared. Outside, the apple tree stood sentinel, its branches swaying in the night breeze, whispering Petro's name, Tomas's love, and the enduring hope of a family forged in fire. The cinematic frame widened, the house a glowing ember in the dark village, a testament to survival and love's unyielding strength. As the first hints of dawn crept through the lace curtains, painting the room in soft grays and pinks, Elena felt the weight of the night settling on her shoulders. Mia had finally succumbed to sleep, her small chest rising and falling in gentle rhythm, lashes fluttering against her cheeks like butterfly wings. Elena didn't stop rocking though. The motion was soothing, a lullaby for her own soul. Her stories weren't finished, not truly. Life's narrative never ended neatly. It spilled over, looping back on itself, revealing new layers with each telling. She whispered to the sleeping child, her voice barely audible, as if confiding secrets to the dawn. There's more to our tapestry, my love. Let me share the quieter threads, the ones that bind us in everyday miracles. Elena's mind wandered to the years after Sophia's remission, a period of fragile peace in the early 2010s. The village had embraced modernity more fully by then, cell phones buzzing in pockets, internet cables snaking through homes like vines. Elena, in her 60s, learned to use a simple phone, her wrinkled fingers tapping out messages to Anna overseas. "Come home soon," she typed, the screen blurring through her reading glasses. Flashback. A summer day in 2010, the garden bursting with tomatoes and herbs. Sophia, her strength returning, knelt beside Elena, their hands in the soil. "Mama, remember when you taught me to plant seeds?" Sophia asked, her voice light but carrying the echo of illness. Elena nodded, recalling a younger Sophia, dirt-smeared and giggling, as they buried beans in neat rows. Now, they planted together, the act a ritual of renewal. Victor stopped by with Mia, then 2 years old, toddling through the grass, plucking flowers with chubby fists. Maria followed, carrying a basket of fresh bread from her budding bakery. The family picnicked there, laughter mingling with birdsong, Luna chasing butterflies. It was ordinary, yet profound, a snapshot of survival, where loss had carved space for these simple joys, but even in peace, shadows lingered. In 2012, a flood hit the village, the river Petro's thieves swelling once more. Elena's home stood on higher ground, but Victor's was threatened. Flashback. Rain pounding the roof like angry fists, Elena bundling Mia in blankets as Victor and Maria evacuated to her house. They watched the waters rise from the window, Elena's hand on Victor's shoulder. "It took enough from us," she said firmly. "Not this time." The flood receded without claiming lives, but it damaged homes, forcing rebuilds. Elena organized community aid, her sewing skills turning to mending tarps and clothes. It was a lesson in community, how shared pain forged unbreakable bonds. Mia's soft snore broke Elena's reverie. She adjusted the quilt, tucking it around the child, her tired eyes scanning the room's familiar corners. The photographs on the wall seemed to come alive in the dim light. Tomas young and strong, Petro's mischievous grin frozen in time, Anna's wedding day glow, Sophia's graduation cap tilted jauntily. Each image a chapter begging to be revisited. "Let's talk about your mother, Mia," Elena murmured. "Maria, she's the glue that held Victor together." Flashback to 1990. The fair where Victor met Maria. The air thick with cotton candy and fried dough, lights twinkling like stars brought low. Victor, 28 and handsome, bumped into her at a stall selling handmade jewelry. Maria, with her warm brown eyes and infectious laugh, dropped a necklace. He caught it. "Fate," she joked, and he smiled, smitten. Elena approved instantly. Maria's kindness reminded her of her own mother. Their courtship was whirlwind. Walks by the river carefully now, shared dreams under the apple tree. The wedding in 1992 was a village affair, Elena sewing Maria's dress with lace from her own veil. "Welcome, daughter," Elena said, embracing her. Maria brought stability. When Victor lost his factory job in 2000, she started baking from home, her pies and bread selling at markets. Flashback: the kitchen alive with flour dust and oven warmth, Maria kneading dough while Victor fixed appliances for extra cash. Elena helped, rolling pastries, her hands steady beside Maria's younger ones. "We're a team," Maria said, and Elena nodded, seeing echoes of her life with Tomas, but Maria had her own tragedies. In 2005, before Mia, she miscarried twice, her grief quiet but deep. Elena sat with her through nights of tears, brewing chamomile tea, sharing stories of her losses. "The heart mends but remembers," Elena whispered. Mia's birth in 2018 was a triumph, Maria's labor swift, the cry echoing joy. Elena held her first, tears mingling with smiles. "She's perfect," Maria said, echoing Tomas's words about Anna. In the present, Elena's voice grew softer, the rocking chair slowing. "Maria's strength is quiet, like a deep well." She stood by Victor through his darkness, expanding on the disappearance. "Those 2 weeks in 2015 tested everyone." "Maria, pregnant with Mia then?" "No, Mia was born later, but the strain was immense." Maria called Elena daily, her voice breaking. "Where is he, Mama?" Elena comforted her, while searching herself woods, old haunts, even the mind's ruins. Finding Luna under the bed, the note clutched in her paw, was a mix of relief and anguish. When Victor returned, Maria's embrace was forgiveness incarnate. "We heal together," she said, the stories branched now, Elena delving into Mia's early years. Flashback: Mia's first steps in 2019, wobbling toward Elena's outstretched arms, the family cheering. Her first words, "Nana," melting hearts. Pandemic years in 2020 locked them in, but Elena's home became sanctuary, stories told over video calls to Anna, Sophia reading books aloud. Mia's drawings covered walls, colorful escapes from isolation. By 2022, normalcy returned. Victor bought a small truck for deliveries, Maria's bakery expanding. Sophia remarried married for the first time, to Ivan, the carpenter. Flashback: their wedding in the church, simple and heartfelt, Mia as flower girl, petals scattering like blessings. Ivan's steady presence brought new life repairs to the old home, a swing for Mia echoing Petros. Anna's 2024 visit lingered in Elena's telling. Beyond the embrace, there were confessions, late nights, and a shared her American life. Nursing in a bustling hospital, lonely apartments, a brief romance ended in heartbreak. "I ran from pain, Mama," she admitted. Elena listened, no judgment, only love. They visited Petros' grave, Anna placing flowers, whispering apologies for absence. Mia, curious, asked, "Why were you gone so long?" Anna knelt. "Sometimes we lose our way, but family calls us back." As light strengthened, Elena reflected on themes. Love, Tomas's wire ring, Maria's steadfastness. Loss, Petros' river, Tomas's cough, Victor's absence. Survival, rebuilding after fires, floods, illnesses. Hope, Mia's innocent eyes, Sophia's remission, Anna's return. "One last tale before morning," Elena said, though Mia slept. It was her own youth, pre-Tomas. Flashback: 1940 seconds, War's shadow. Elena, 10, hiding in cellars during bombings, her mother's arms a shield. Father's departure to fight, never returning. Post-war hunger, scavenging forests, yet resilience, learning to read by firelight. Dreaming of better days, these roots shaped her. Lessons passed to Mia. "We carry our past, but choose our steps," Elena whispered. The sun rose, bathing the room in gold. Elena closed her eyes, content, the story eternal in their bond. With the morning light fully embracing the room, Elena felt a gentle stir from Mia. The child blinked awake, her eyes adjusting to the day. a small smile forming as she realized she was still nestled against her grandmother. Nana, did I fall asleep during the stories? Mia asked, rubbing her eyes. Elena chuckled softly, her voice refreshed by the new day. Only for a bit, my love. But stories don't end with sleep, they wait for us to wake. Mia sat up, the quilt slipping to her lap, her curiosity undimmed. Tell me more about Papa's dog, Luna. How did she help him? Elena nodded, her wrinkled hands folding over Mia's smaller ones. Luna's tale is woven into your father's darkest hour. Let me paint it for you. The flashback returned, vivid as ever. To those fateful 2 weeks in 2015, Victor had wandered into the woods after the argument with Maria, his mind a storm of self-doubt and despair. The trees closed around him like judgmental sentinels, the path lost in twilight. He sat by a stream, skipping stones, contemplating the unthinkable. Then, a stray dog emerged, emaciated, her fur tangled with burrs, eyes wary but kind. She approached slowly, tail low, as if sensing his pain. Victor shared his last sandwich, and she stayed, curling beside him through the cold night. Days blurred, Victor sleeping in hollows, foraging berries, Luna his silent guardian. She alerted him to dangers, a snake's coil, a hunter's approach. In return, he named her Luna for the moon that lit their way. You're lost too, girl, he'd whisper, her warmth staving off isolation. The note he tied to her collar was a cry for help, sending her back to the village while he gathered courage. Elena, finding Luna under the bed, saw the dog's loyalty as a mirror of her own family's bonds. When Victor returned, Luna bounded to him, the reunion tearful. She saved me, Mama, he said, burying his face in her fur. In the years since, Luna became family, sleeping by the fire, playing with Mia, a living reminder of resilience. Flashback. Mia at 3, riding Luna like a pony, giggles echoing. Victor training her tricks, his smile genuine again. Luna teaches us that help comes in unexpected forms, Elena said, her eyes misting. Animals sense the heart's whispers, Mia beamed. Can we visit Luna today? Perhaps, Elena replied, rising slowly, her joints protesting the night's vigil. She moved to the stove, brewing fresh tea, the aroma filling the air like a promise of continuity. As they sipped, Elena delved into other family branches. Your Uncle Ivan, Sophia's husband, he's a quiet hero. Flashback. Ivan entered their lives in 2020 during the lockdowns. A carpenter from the neighboring town, he fixed Elena's leaking roof for free, his hands skilled and steady. Sophia, teaching online, noticed his kind eyes through the window. Conversations over fences turned to shared meals, love blooming in isolation. Their wedding in 2022 was intimate, the church adorned with Ivan's hand-carved flowers. Mia scattered petals, her dress sewn by Elena. Ivan built additions to Sophia's home, a nursery, though children hadn't come yet. A workshop where he taught Mia to whittle. Patience, little one, he'd say, guiding her small hands. His presence healed old wounds, his stories of his own losses, a brother to war echoing the families. Elena's voice warmed. Love finds us when we're ready, Mia. Ivan was Sophia's second chance. The morning progressed, sunlight streaming through the window, illuminating dust motes like floating memories. Mia helped Elena with chores, feeding chickens, picking herbs, the acts a bridge between generations. Tell me about your dreams. Nana, Mia prompted, as they sat shelling peas. Elena paused, her tired eyes distant. Dreams? I dreamed of a full table, healthy children, peace. But life gave twists. Flashback. Young Elena, post-war, dreaming by the river of adventure cities, books, romance. Meeting Tomas fulfilled some, but hardships reshaped others. I wanted to be a teacher, she confessed once to Tomas. He encouraged her, but family needs prevailed. Yet, in teaching her children, then grandchildren, the dream lived. I lived through them, Elena told Mia. Your father's travels as a trucker, Sophia's classroom, and as nursing pieces of my dreams, Mia pondered. What should I dream, Nana? Anything, child. but rooted in love it sustains. The story expanded to village life, neighbors' tales intertwining. Old Mrs. Kovic, who lost her husband to the mines like Tomas, shared teas with Elena, their grief a shared blanket. Flashback. Weekly gatherings, stories exchanged, laughter amid tears. By noon, Victor arrived, his truck rumbling up the path. "Morning, Mama," he called, hugging Elena, then scooping Mia. Luna trailed, tail wagging. "You look rested," Elena noted. Seeing peace in his eyes, "Thanks to you," he replied. Glancing at the quilt, a symbol of mended lives, they lunched together, bread, cheese, apples from the tree. Conversations flowed. Victor's roots, Mia's school, Elena's stories. "Tell her about the time you saved the harvest," Victor urged. Elena laughed. Flashback. 1975 drought, crops withering. Elena rallied villagers digging irrigation from the river, hands blistered, backs aching. Rain came eventually, but their efforts saved enough. "Teamwork," she said. Afternoon brought Maria, flour dusted from the bakery. "Brought treats," she announced, unveiling pastries. Sophia and Ivan joined later, the home filling with voices, a chorus of survival. As evening neared, Elena reflected. "Our family is a circle, losses break it, love reforms it stronger." Mia, tired but content, hugged her. "Your stories make me strong, Nana." Elena's heart swelled. "That's the greatest lesson, pass it on." The day closed with songs by the fire, Luna at their feet, the bond unbreakable.